Hi, my name is Julie McLaughlin, and I'm the operations manager for Papua New Guinea for our ships ministry that's happening there. So I look after the MV YWAM Liberty and all the work that happens there. So I'm going to tell some stories from the YWAM Liberty coming into the autonomous region of Bougainville. And so the ship has just arrived in the last few months. And when we arrived, the government put on a lovely welcome ceremony for us. It was in a town square, and they brought lots of dancers and a puk-puk band. So puk-puk band is a bamboo band, and so they're amazing part of the culture there, amazing experience for our crew. So we were sitting there waiting for some of the dignitaries to arrive, and so they kept getting the dancers up over and over again to entertain everyone while they were waiting. And so as you looked at the people around, they kind of had their arms crossed and were kind of staring at us, just a little bit maybe suspicious, or asking themselves, hey, who are these people, what do they want? And so they were just kind of checking us out and evaluating us. And there was a beautiful moment. Some of our crew got up and went over and joined in the dancing. And so we have a couple young men from Africa that got up and were part of the dancing. And as soon as they got up, the people just started to laugh, and they just started to be filled with joy. And it was neat because it really changed the spiritual atmosphere of what was happening there. And no longer were they looking at us suspiciously, but they were laughing and joking, and they welcomed us so nicely that day. So I love that story, because that's really who the people of Bougainville are, is that joy, that welcoming, that warm culture. So then as we went out to Nisan Island, in Nisan Island, it's a pretty narrow atoll, so it's flat. And there's about 8,000 people that live on the island there. And so as we were coming in, it was a little bit narrow, and so we sent out a Zodiac just to check the depths of where we were coming in. And so one of our crew members was out there, and he was checking the depths, and he was a little bit nervous, so he's radioing back to captain and a little unsure. And then as he was out there, he was praying and just praying about the ship coming through. And as he was praying, he saw this tuna just going through the water, and it came right through the passage and into the lagoon. And tuna don't normally go into the lagoons, and so it was neat. He really took that, oh man, this is God. God's looking after us, and so this is the way to go. And so our ship came in that way safely, successfully, and then we began the outreaches on Nisan Atoll. And so one of my favorite stories from just the last outreach that's happened is we were able to do our eye surgeries on board. And eye surgeries are one of my favorite things that we get to do. And so one man that came, we were out at anchor, and so we had a lot of people that were kind of coming up to the ship and asking what we were doing and wanting to get on, but our hospital was screening our patients. And so he had come with a couple family members. He was blind in both eyes, and he'd been blind for about 6 years. And so as he came up, our team was talking to him, and he wasn't one that was scheduled for that day. And so they were talking to him and trying to tell him, oh no, come back a different time. Well, our guys found out that he's from a place called Bouin. And Bouin, if this is Bougainville Island, it's all the way down on the very tip. So he would have come by banana boat, but it would have taken him several days to get there, and it would have been very expensive for him to come all that way. And so when our team heard about, oh no, this is his only chance to get the eye surgeries, the ophthalmologist said, no, let him in, and we'll take him. And so they did the surgery on his eye, and he was a bit of a cheeky guy. He had a big stick that he walked around with, and so they did the surgery, and he came back the next day, and they take the eye plaster off. And when they took the eye plaster off, and this big smile came across his face because he could see. And then the next minute he goes, okay, when can you do the other eye? And so he was just so happy and so overwhelmed with joy that the team was walking him out to the banana boat for him to leave that day. And then as he walked out, he had his big stick that he'd used to find his way around in the village when he couldn't see. He said, "Oh, I don't need this anymore," and he threw it away as he got into the banana boat. And so it was pretty amazing to see just the life-changing nature of the surgery for this man who'd come so far to the ship to be helped. We're about 1/3 of our way through the outreaches in the autonomous region of Bougainville. It's currently a part of Papua New Guinea, and so that means we've got about 4 more months of outreaches to go. So the great news is that most of our outreaches are pretty full, so we have the medical people that we need, we have all the things that we need. We do have a few prayer requests for you. Currently, sort of each outreach, we're getting the fuel that we need, we're getting also a few technical things that are sorted out. We've had some issues with our water makers, and so we would love you to pray for that we have all the fuel that we need to go out to the remote places. Those are the places that we really like to go, because those are the places that don't have access to healthcare. And so as we really want to go out to those places, that's our biggest challenge, is fuel right now. Once we finish in the autonomous region of Bougainville, then we will travel back to Port Moresby. We're running a training school on board, a discipleship training school, and then also doing some technical work on the ship. From there, then we'll start outreaches again in May, and so we're already booking volunteers for that time. So if you're thinking about going on an outreach or thinking about being involved, this is a great time to get your name on the calendar for next year's. And we don't know exactly which place that we're going to be at during that time, but we know that we're going to be going and really utilizing the containers more to their maximum capacity of, the whole concept of thinking inside the box and filling the containers with different medical clinics and other ways of reaching out into remote communities. So again, we want to just invite you to come along. Come as a general volunteer. You don't have to be a medical professional or a marine professional to join us. The biggest thing is a willing heart and to get signed up right away so that there's space for you on board. So,
thanks, Julie.
Yeah.